on is we're going to focus on chipping. And a couple things with chipping, we're going to work on some trajectory control. We're also going to work on proper club choice and proper shot choice, okay? So kind of knowing what we have around here, we have a lot of what are called push-up greens. We play a lot of push-up greens around here, so basically that means they took the turf and they kind of piled it up, and now we get these kind of mounded greens, okay? At Meadow, we have some of those. They're not as predominant as some of the other courses that we are played around here. Meadow kind of have some shaped greens, but most of them are what we call those push-up greens. So that means that we've got to play shots that typically are either flying on top of the hill, landing below the hill, or into the hill. Okay, so really what I want to focus on today is a very basic shot that we call a bump and run. Okay, so that means generally we can take a lower lofted club, a pitching wedge, you know, a gap wedge, 9-iron, 8-irons, you can even go to 7-irons, right? Some of those lower lofted clubs, and we want to get them to where these are just soft shots that run. Okay, I think we have a tendency to try to pick the higher lofted clubs too often, and the negative with the higher lofted clubs is, yes, they are nice and pretty and they look great and they land soft and they roll out and they look cool, but really what happens is if we catch them a little bit thin or we have those big miss hits, the more that we have a higher lofted club, we have to make a bigger swing, which is bigger energy, and that means if we blade them or miss hit them, those misses become larger. Versus if we take a lower lofted club, because the swing's so much smaller, so much less energy to get the ball to the distance that we're trying to get it, the misses get much smaller. Does that make sense? So that's what we're going to focus on today. So really what we're going to do is, I think you guys all have a little bit higher lofted clubs. So in a minute we're going to go back and we'll get pitching wedges and 9-irons. And I want you guys to kind of play with the characteristics of what they do and what they produce, right? So if we can hit, you know, a bump and run with, what do you have here?
56.
With your 56, we can do something like that. The problem with the 56 is, again, we have to have that big energy, but we can look at ball position, right, to control that. Okay, so ball position with the 56, we'll bring it down lower, and we can still hit that bump and run. Delaney, why don't you come over here and we'll kind of help you out with, you know, we'll even use this 56 here, and we'll switch clubs in a minute. But why don't you go ahead and set up. And what we're going to do first to hit these bump and runs is, first off, we're going to have this golf ball set up right off the inside of her trail foot, okay? The hands are always on the, right off of the butt of the club's always right off the inside of the lead thigh, and that's where we should have it for everything, okay? And we're going to put the ball position off the back foot, okay? You should see that sets the handle forward, okay? And that means we'll keep that loft off of it. The key with that, again, is that we don't fall back and add loft back on it. Does that make sense? So we've got to keep that handle staying forward as we hit, okay? The other key that when we chip that's really important is her weight can't be on her back foot. So if you look here, there's definitely more weight on the back foot. You can see it than is on the front, okay? So Delaney, have you lean to your front foot just a little bit more. We want to feel that weight there, okay? One of the things I see all the time is that we get leaning to the front with our foot, but then our chest is tilted back like this. Doesn't do a whole lot for us because we're just going to reintroduce the lofted impact, okay? So what I want is, we want to imagine if we were just a straight line, right, we would tilt this way, and that would be our whole direction. And that's going to help us keep that low shot. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Delaney, why don't you go ahead and hit one there, and let's see if we can get a low running shot. Very nice, nice and low. Even a 56, that higher lofted club, we can keep it low. The problem is that swing was still pretty large if you think about how far that ball traveled. Does that make sense?